Oh, wow. Okay, so yeah, I'm getting reports that Congress is blocking Ghislaine from actually testifying. I can't confirm that. I just haven't found any, big releases yet. I'll show you this here, and then we'll move on to some of the other stuff I want to talk about because I just can't forget. I can't. This whole Epstein thing. I mean, really, really, really kind of gets on me because trust is part of the game here. That was what we were trying to do: restore trust in our faith in the United States, and give us some beacon of hope that things were going to move in a direction where we could actually, heal from this. And we're deporting illegals, and they're going to break down the corrupt school system and try to bring it back to the states, and that could be good. But the problem that you run into is this could only be temporary if you don't eliminate the parts of the government that are operating in a rogue manner, and a lot of these are being are because of the Epstein stuff. And if you don't go after these people, you're not getting anywhere anytime soon. But you can see here, I've seen some other posts, and it's a little bit soon, and I don't even know how they even came up with she was going to testify in the Congress. The ability for her to communicate is a little limited given the fact of where she's at. But it was talked about. It's been talked about, and if I'm wrong, then we'll move on from there. But this is just something I'm just sort of kind of just looking into and trying to figure out. But she's, according to sources that I can't confirm, she was going to testify. And then now there are sources saying that we're having Congress. Oh no, 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 no. That's not good. That's not good. And we're at a stalemate here. I can see this because Trump's doubling down, saying that all's well, move on. Let's just forget about the whole thing. Cash, but Bongino's back at work. Everybody thought he was going to resign. That was a big hype. That didn't happen. He's back at work. And Cash Patel said he's not going anywhere. So you can go figure on that. Everybody's got this thing where when Congress goes into their vacation after all the hard work they've done, which is pretty much passing a spending bill far exceeding anything we've ever seen before. And yes, there's some good stuff in there, but anyways, no real work that I can say has been done yet. If this was the Democrats, you can bet there would be subpoenas, charges, impeachments out the wazoo in the first week. And now here we are, conservative Republicans, just sort of sitting on their thumbs, and for the most part, if you ask me, and actually rendering really good stuff. Like I just reported yesterday about the DOJ saying that, well, no, we're not going to ban fluoride in water and other things. Nope, that's not going to happen. We're going to appeal that. We're going to make sure we keep your fluoride in your water on top of the Epstein stuff didn't exist. I'm just saying. So pressure is on. I'm not forgetting about it, and I don't think anybody else should either. Anyhow, moving on to this other, I got this brought to the table. Anybody remembers the Akon rapper where it was like, got locked up? Well, talking about the song "Locked Up." If you don't like rap music, you've heard it just because it's out there. It came out in the late '90s, early 2000s, and Akon more than likely just money laundered a lot of money. I don't know how much, but there was an Akon city that was to be built based on some kind of futuristic movie, and it was going to be called Akon's grandiose Wakanda City flops, and a spectacular $6 billion Black Panther dream reduced to one lone building and scam allegations. What happened? I can't play the audio because it's just music playing in the back, but this is in Africa, and this was supposed to bring to the table ingenuity in this area where it shows you just how self-reliant these people are. And so a lot of big people got behind this and invested a lot of money, and nothing was done. I think 7 years ago the plan was rolled out. I think it was 1,400 days later, this is all you've got. A piece of a building. That's it. And I don't know how much. It was a $6 billion plant. I don't know how much was spent yet. I've done a little research and I haven't found anything to give me any real numbers yet. But I just know that it's been abandoned. Nobody's, there were some people kind of living around the area. There was a little housing development that was kind of started. They've left because it's been neglected. And how are they going to get? This is desert, so I guess were they going to see some clouds and terraform this area to give it, this lush green looking stuff and whatnot. So that kind of fell through, and interesting as it seems, but nothing out of the ordinary when it comes to elites moving money around to do whatever they need to do and to pay whoever they need to pay to do whatever they need to do. Diddy just got found not guilty, recently, along with the whole Epstein thing. But anyways, it's not totally unrelated. As the saga continues, I don't know anybody other than maybe American in Brazil dude John, a friend of mine, who's been reporting on Tiffany Henyard and the Dalton County, which is all in Chicago. I mean, not Chicago, but Illinois. Pritzker's tromping grounds, Governor Pritzker. What do you call it there? Dalton. They say Thornton. This is a town in Dalton County. Thornton Township maneuvered this dude. So Tiffany Henyard, obviously, if you know anything about her, I'll play a little video of her after I do this little segment here of her just being completely corrupt. But she did a lot of really bad things, and she pretty much broke the town, completely annihilated any money coming in, used mob-style tactics, and facilitated criminals in the police department that she hired on to do the bidding of her, and she would strong-arm businesses into supporting her campaign to keep her in power. And then she also hired on some convicted offenders that did some bad things to kids to work in the area of home inspections of Section 8 housing, which is totally illegal because that puts them into the proximity of children, which they're supposed to be a certain amount of feet away. And so all that was employed by friends of hers as she was also rubbing elbows with all the gangs in the areas. That was Tiffany Henyard. Now they apparently this Thornton Township has elected a dude who's could very well be just as corrupt as her. And we've seen this many, many times when we were like, oh, Lori Lightfoot sucks. Well, we'll get Brandon Johnson on the job. Woo, boy, how'd that work out? Chicago, Illinois, by the way. Tiffany Henyard's successor at the Thornton Township maneuvered to keep earning a 6-figure salary. And what it is this area of Thornton is not a very high-income area. It's kind of a low-income area. So it's so fun. So revenue doesn't pour in like places like New York and the big city of Chicago, even though nobody's really doing anything in Chicago. There's some stuff going on in New York, but New York City. But Thornton is just a small town. Its growth is kind of dismal, and a lot of the people that live in the area have lived there their whole life. And I like small town stuff. I don't want a lot of growth. I like just a good functioning small town where the money's spent right to keep it kind of functional, and the rest of it, we'll just, well, you can know who you're looking at. You can say, hey, I know that guy, But anyways, this supervisor, the supervisor of Tiffany Henyard at the time, did some crazy stuff and managed to get her salary up to $200,000 per year, which is already way over budget for anything. You're going to take away from all the one. It got so bad under Tiffany Henyard's rule that they were repossessing vehicles in government buildings. Power was being turned off because they shouldn't have the money to pay the bills. There originally was a $57,000 a year salary for this, and that's still a lot of money. That's it's not any now, but it's still pretty good considering they only work very minimal hours. But this dude named Napoleon Harris somehow or another managed to sneak in some kind of legislation and get the same money. So he rallies and says, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do you guys so much better, Thornton. People, oh my gosh. And he put forth a bill to try to do this while he was senator, because he was like a senator thing. It says Harris they investigated a taxpayer-funded position held quietly to pave the way for him to protect his pay. And Harris had been a Democrat state senator since 2013, and he defeated Henyard this year to take over the township's new supervisor, his second taxpayer-funded position. In 2024, Henyard was paid a total of this is Tiffany, $282 by the township. That included an annual salary of $202,950, in addition to allowance for a telephone, a vehicle, and some other stuff that rounded up to almost $60,000. And then under the ordinance, Henyard collected the amount because she took over Frank Zucchelli. The middle of his term, Zucchelli had been supervisor since 1990s, but she was defeated, and the pay was significantly lower. The township salary ordinance was set back to $57K a year, which they can afford a budget. But this Napoleon Harris dude, even before he won township office, before he won this office position, introduced legislation in the Illinois General Assembly to protect the payment perk. His bill did not pass, but we found this, by the way, this is the people who wrote an article. We found legislation with the same language was later advanced and passed by a different Democrat legislator. It was signed into law by J.B. Pritzker last year. So little did these people know, while this was going on behind the scenes, this J.B. Pritzker and these other people were setting up and maneuvering this kind of corruption to happen. This town can't afford that. And if this dude's here to help this town and try to get it back on its feet, which they have failed miserably because of Henyard and other leadership that allowed this to go on for way too long, because probably they were getting paid off as well. They're still in power right now. There's a lot of the township that only reason why it got brought to light is because Henyard started to actually take so much from that little town that it started affecting the people who were also getting dibs from that money, and they had to say, look, you're stealing from us and now we can't steal from y'all. So you need to step down. You're getting too big, Tiffany. That's the only reason why she even was taken out of office, and so far there's not been any criminal charges against her corruption. A little snippet of what Dalton was experiencing prior to electing the new guy, who could very well possibly be just as it's usually worse. Here you go.
Handle anything as relates to with credit cards. As you heard me speak today in my board meeting about, I do not handle that.
Some of those charges are for you, though.
No, sir.
You didn't go to Las Vegas? What is that?
No, God.
You don't know if you were in Las Vegas?
Of course I do.
Did you fly first class to Las Vegas?
Any other questions?
You're not.
It gets even worse. Look, check this out. Right here, check this out.
The Dalton mayor vetoed a resolution passed by the board to investigate her spending. Last month, the board passed a resolution that required Henyard to turn in the village's financial records and called for an investigation by the FBI. Now, several Fox 32 reports have uncovered.
Same FBI that's being run by Cash Patel and Dan Bongino, and then headed off by Pam Bondi.
Multiple allegations of corruption in her capacity as mayor and as Thornton Township supervisor. The mayor took issue with what she called attacks on her.
As you can see, our village, our community, myself, we are under attack. It's a shame that people can come to meetings and just tell one-sided stories.
Okay. There was a large fight that broke out during the part of these things. That's her involved in the fight there. You can...
He's in there. Tiffany is in there. Holy shit.
Somebody was talking junk, and so her boyfriend came in there and went after the person, which then ensued into a large fight.
Why are meetings being canceled? Can't we get in our public building to have meetings? Why are meetings being canceled? Why can't we have transparency what's going on with our tax dollars?
But allegations of corruption, assault, and even embezzlement are igniting calls for her resignation.
So they end up, of course, yeah, we got rid of her, and no charges filed yet, by the way. No charges filed yet. And things move forward, and they put in that new guy who looks like he's going to be doing something real. I thought there was somebody actually confronted this new guy. There's some of her criminal charges that were popping off there. I'll give you she'd actually already had pretty good brushes with the department where she was done, like, criminal stuff and money laundering and embezzlement, things like that. Some other charges. Let me show you this right quick here. So she gets ousted, and I'm trying to see where I had it. Oh well, I thought somewhere. I'm pretty sure. I thought I'd saved it. Yeah, there it is, right here.
Township voters thought the Henyard-style drama was behind them. Why they fear their new supervisor may not be the change they voted for.
Do you think it's a good look for you to do some of the same stuff that you were critical of?
So, yeah, that Harris guy, not good. Not good look. These people. Dude, I just did a video where there are people in, where was it at? Let's see. So funny. Everything is so strange nowadays. Gavin Newsom is nuts. I'll show you that too. Can't find anything when I'm looking for it. That in Minneapolis, I did a video on that. Yeah, right here.
White Americans in their, they loved having white Americans in their village. Now I done replaced them, and they are looking at me like, who, you that look like us? You're here to help us, to save us? What happened to the white people? And you bald, you ain't got no hair, and you childless, so you really not a woman.
Kenya was mad because all the white people left. Elmo's pissed because they won't release the Epstein files, and Gavin Newsom advocates for children to be in pot farms.
Families. $8.5 billion in tax collection in California every year from undocs. $8.5 billion that we receive just at the state level of taxes. That was the last Pew estimate. So it's not insignificant. Backbone, I mean, it's half of our agriculture work. You care about farmers and ranchers if that's what your number one go-to.
He does these things with his hands. But he's pretty much advocating through the video about kids working in the pot farms. And he does those hand things, those weird, crazy looking hand gestures. He is a psychopath. Absolute psychopath. So, oh yeah. One more thing before I get out of here. Bridget Macron takes fight to the highest court in France after two women claimed that First Lady was born a man, and they were cleared, by the way, of this defamation lawsuit. So she's got, or he or her. I say show us the midsection. Drop trowel. I want to see. Prove us wrong. Prove us wrong. That's what's going to come down to it. People in the court are going to be like, look, you're just going to have to drop trowel, and then we're going to end this real quick. What's going on downstairs? All right, we're going to wrap it up. Much like Macron should be doing. Bye.